The trickster Nicky Spurgeon goes to a bar in NYC. He sees a pretty young blonde woman with a man who looks like he's bothering her. She runs away from him and goes to Nicky's table to blame him for something. Jess is her name. After a few drinks, she gets Nicky to go up to her hotel room with her, and they start kissing. Then a man with a gun bursts into the room and threatens to shoot Nicky. Jess says he is her husband. Nicky then makes a joke about having cancer, and Jess thinks he knows what they're up to. Nicky says that the attempt was terrible and that if they really wanted to rob him, they should have done it before he left. He can't help himself, and after Jess leaves the hotel, he goes up to her and asks her out for coffee. Nicky tells her a story about two partners who were in a scam that went wrong. One partner had to shoot the other to make it look like they weren't working together. Nicky's father and grandfather were the partners in question, and one of them shot the other with something called the Toledo panic button. Jess begs Nicky to show her how. He agrees and says that the con is a game of concentration. Nicky says that attention is like a spotlight and their job is to dance in the dark. The brain is slow and can't do more than one thing at a time. He goes on to say, you have to get inside the victim's head and see things from their point of view as he takes things from her. He says goodbye and wishes her luck. Nicky goes to New Orleans with his friend Horst and his own team of thieves to do business. Nicky has a gambling problem, by the way, because he loses money on a horse race. After looking into Nicky, Jess finds him a few days later. She tells him she wants to join the team. Nicky agrees to give her a shot and right away introduces her to Horst, who knew Jess was coming. The town is full of people this week because of the Super Bowl. Jess comes along for a practice round. They take her through the busy streets where they steal watches, purses, and other jewelry from people who don't know what's going on. Nicky is impressed, and she gets to be on the team. They also take her to a casino and a hotel and tell her even more of their plans, like stealing her identity and making fake credit cards. They even made fake ATMs to get the PIN codes. Jess meets Farhad, Nicky's friend and partner. He is involved in even more complicated plans. Farhad doesn't pay much attention to Jess, but he asks her everything, even though Nicky will probably be tapping that because he would. Jess still likes him, even though he acts the way he does. Jess sees a necklace she likes while Nicky is explaining to her what they do with the stolen data in their base and how they split the profits. Nicky tells Jess that everything they steal has to be sold, so there's no proof. When Jess asks Nicky about a big scam that would let them retire right away, Nicky just says that they are in a bulk business and that big scams are just a fantasy. Nicky asks for a stack of cash to bid on a racetrack while all the bags are being checked and the money is being counted. Nicky finds Jess a place to stay, and when she asks him for a ride, he tells her to get a cab instead. He tells her that they shouldn't be in a romantic relationship. He comes to her anyway after a while, and they start to get it on. Jess asks Nicky why some people call him mellow. He says his dad used to call him that because he said he was soft like a marshmallow. Nicky thinks that heart has no place in this game because it can get you killed. The night before the big game, when all the cheating is through, Nicky turns to the team and congratulates them on a record-breaking week that brought in $1.2 million. He tells everyone to go home and promises to send them their share. Horst gives Nicky the money bag and tells him not to gamble with it. Nicky makes a promise while Jess watches. Jess and Nicky are going to a football game. Jess says she doesn't like football, so Nicky and Jess make little bets with each other, like whether one fan will catch a hot dog and whether another will be too drunk to stand up for the wave. They see a woman in short shorts and make a bet on how many men will look at her butt as she walks by. Nicky bets 3 and Jess bets 8. Mr. Lou, a curious man, joins the game and bets 5. As the woman walks by, 7 men look at her butt. Jess is the closest. Lewin says they should bet on the game. Jess says no because she doesn't know anything about football. Nicky agrees to his suggestion and they bet $1,000, which Nicky loses. When Nicky wants to fold, Lewin begs him to keep playing. Nicky agrees, but only because she has to, and she raises the bet. He loses and gives him the stack of cash. Things get more serious as the two get going. Jess gives Nicky the bag of cash and tells him they have to leave after losing $100,000. He takes the money, puts it on the table, and bets all of the $1.1 million he has left on a simple high card draw. Lewin is very happy. He calls and draws a 5. Nicky is overjoyed because the odds are in his favor. When he turns the card over, he sees a 3. He loses everything their team has been working on. Jess sits down in shock, and Nicky just stands there in shock. Nicky has had enough and wants to go. Mr. Lewing teases him again, saying, "That's what you get for playing with the big boys." Nicky turns around and decides to double the bet again. He tells Lewing to choose any player on the field, and he will guess which one it is, which seems like an impossible task. Mr. Lewing thinks he's crazy, and he doesn't bet on crazy people, so he says no. Nicky makes the deal sweeter by saying that Jess will choose the player Lewing saw, which makes Jess unhappy. Lewing can't say no to free money, so he chooses a player. Lewing gives Jess a chance to back out while she nervously looks through the binoculars. Jess looks at Nicky, who looks like she's begging him to back out, but Nicky tells her to choose. Jess looks over the players again, this time with a lot of nerves. She sees Farhad all of a sudden. He is wearing a jersey with the number 55 on it. She smiles and picks him, and everyone, except Nicky, is surprised that that's the right answer. Nicky, who now has a lot of money, tells Jess on the way home in the cab that this was planned from the start. He knew Lewing was a notorious gambler, so he set it up so Lewing would see the number 55 throughout the day, subconsciously making him pick that number when the moment was right. Nicky tells the taxi to stop, and another car pulls up behind them. He tells the cab driver to take Jess to the airport. He gives her share of the money and drives away without saying anything else, leaving Jess sad and confused. 3 years later, Nicky is working with a billionaire race car owner named Rafael Garriga and his partner Owens in Buenos Aires, Argentina. They have a new fuel burn algorithm that will give them an edge in the next season. But Rafael is worried that this won't be enough. So, Nicky is going to pretend to be a disgruntled former employee of Rafael and sell a fake version to McEwen, who is Rafael's biggest competitor. Because of this, he gets faster and the competition gets slower. Nicky goes to a party at Rafael's house. He tells the bartender to give him water instead of vodka on the rocks, since he is an alcoholic, to make it look like he is getting drunk. Nicky talks to all of the guests. When he goes to confront Rafael as part of his plan, he sees Jess coming down the stairs in a beautiful red dress and stops in his tracks. Nicky doesn't like it when she kisses Rafael. Then he goes up to Jess, who tells him that she's fine on her own and has moved on from the game of lies. Nicky looks sad and goes to get a drink of vodka. Instead, he gets water, and another bartender tells everyone about his problem, so he doesn't even get a drink. Nicky plays his part as an unhappy employee after drinking too many apprentice, but instead of pushing Rafael, he punches him in the face, letting out all of his anger at him for being with Jess. After Owens takes Nicky outside, McEwen's guard comes up to him and gives him McEwen's credentials, asking him to lunch. The day after, when Nicky is having lunch with McEwen, Ricky has trouble focusing on what he's saying. He is angry and stares at Jess, who is flirting with Rafael. They agree to talk again later when they have solid proof that Nicky's fuel-burning algorithm is real. He goes up to Jess when she's not with Rafael and tells her not to trust him. She asks why she should trust Nicky after he left her behind, turning the tables on him. She throws him his wallet as she walks away, which shows that her game is still on point. Ricky and McEwen agree on €3 million after data shows that Nicky's fake algorithm is real. Nicky tries hard to get closer to Jess, even using mean tricks like the old lady who loses her purse just to talk to her. Jess tells Nicky everything she wants to hear in a flirty voice. Just before they kiss, she whispers, "I've learned a lot since we last met, and I'd love to show you, like how I learned to play men like I just played you." She tells Nicky to leave her alone because she won't fall for his lies again. Nicky brings in Farhad as a last resort to convince Jess to give Nicky a break and that he's sorry about New Orleans. He gives her the necklace she wanted 3 years ago. Nicky is able to talk to her again. He tells her that he hasn't worked in a few years because it doesn't feel right, and that he even asked his father for help. Jess gets straight to the point. "What do you want from me?" Nicky says he's a different person, but Jess has a hard time believing her because he's a liar. Jess leaves, and someone follows her. Nicky sees Jess sitting next to his door when he gets back to his hotel room. They have sex. The next day, he tells her he is leaving that night and wants Jess to go with him. Owens is at Nicky's door right after that. He tries to get rid of Owen, but Owen just walks in while Jess tries to hide. Owens walks around the apartment like he's looking for someone and complains about how he feels about the younger generation and how Nicky isn't making any progress at work. Jess runs away to the balcony, where she gets away from Owens. He leaves after dropping off a package. Nicky sells Raphael's real algorithm to McEwen and every other race team for the same price. He wishes them all good luck, and they all say the same thing. Who needs luck with friends like you? This is about 27 million euros in cash. Nicky hears that he has been found out, but he doesn't want to leave Jess behind. He grabs his bags and opens the door to see Jess, who says, "Sorry I'm late." One of McEwen's guards buys strange things at a store, and the cashier gives him a look. After a quick meal, he checks his watch, buckles up, puts on his protective gear, and floors the gas pedal, crashing into Nicky's car. They tie Jess and Nicky up and take them to one of Raphael's warehouses. He worked for McEwen as a spy to keep an eye on Nicky. Raphael tells Nicky that he sold the real algorithm to McEwen for $3 million, but there is $27 million in his bags. This makes him think that he sold the algorithm to everyone. Raphael wants to know how to get the real algorithm. He holds Jess's nose until Nicky starts to speak. Nicky finally admits that he used Jess and put a bug on her necklace. When she got back to Raphael's hotel room, the bug got in the way of his computer password. Jess begins to cry. Raphael laughs because he knows it's not true, and he takes the tape off her mouth. She tells Nicky that Raphael is not her boyfriend. She just wanted his watch, which is worth $200,000. Raphael kept trying to get her to sleep with him, but she never did and wasn't even in his room. Jess did all of this to get back at Nicky and make her jealous. Nicky finally decides to tell the truth, but Owens shoots him in the chest just as he's about to start. This horrifies Garriga and makes him leave. Jess is crying and telling Nicky that she loves him while he seems to be bleeding to death. Owens says he hit Nicky in the right spot to avoid the major arteries, even though he punctured his lung. This makes it seem like Nicky is going to die. Owens takes the blood out of Nicky's lungs and brings him back to life. Owens then calls Nicky mellow, which makes Jess realize that Owens is Nicky's father, Bucky Spurgeon. He was in on the scam the whole time, and they just did the button. The real algorithm was in the package Owen left for Nicky one morning. Owens takes Nicky and Jess to the closest hospital. He tells Nicky again what he said about putting your heart into the con game, and adds that he will take all the money. Jess helps Nicky get to the front of the hospital. When Nicky sees that Jess is wearing Garriga's watch on her wrist, she smiles. That's all. Thanks for watching.